Shady's back, tell a friend. Guess who's back, guess who's back.
Hello, cool bloods, and welcome. Wait, shit. This is not my typical gameplay video. I'm so sorry. Where was the script again? I know you sent it to me. Let me see. How to help Waagan marry Carmelita. Why do I wanna be buried in my mom's pasta sauce? How the Mutilasto turned into a sex icon.
Waagan, that's private, and absolutely not for your eyes to witness. It's the other document. I told you to triple check with Google Docs to read and then practice.
Yes, I know. I'm so sorry to reset it, but I started this morning, alright? So, anyways, we can take it from the start now. I have the script here. Yeah, alright. We take it from the start now? Alright. Hello there. WeirdShady and Waagan here, about to convince you that a sneaky but charming raccoon from the PS2 era still matters in 2025. How's that?
Yeah, sure. That works. I really can't be bothered.
Alright, jokes aside, let's actually talk about why we are here.
Alrighty then, let's get into it. Sly Cooper is one of those games I grew up with, and recently I got my stepsons to try them, just to see if the magic still holds up. Spoilers, it does. And that's what made me want to dive back into this series again. So I brought in a friend who's just as Sly infused as I am. The one and only Waagan Cooper. Or just Waagan. Together, we're talking about why these games mattered to us, and why they might still matter to the next generation of sweaty gamers. Some games stick with you because they're the biggest or the flashiest, but the ones that stay with me are the ones that feel like home. And Sly Cooper has always been one of those games. One afternoon, after not touching Sly 3 for 7 or 8 years, I booted it up again. I didn't expect much, just a quiet nostalgia trip. What I didn't expect was my youngest stepson wandering into the room, eyes locked on the cel-shaded animals leaping across rooftops, stealing coins from guards and asking,
"Can I play too?"
A few days later, both of them were taking turns with the controller, leaning forward, jumping, completely absorbed in the same world that once shaped me. It felt small and huge at the same time, like watching a piece of my childhood quietly become part of theirs. Because Sly Cooper left a mark on me. You know, the rooftops of Paris, the music, the smooth jazz mixed with the noir-style dreams. The humor somewhere between a Saturday morning cartoon and classic Disney business. Everything is just so stylish, relaxed, silently confident. And now, somehow, I was seeing all of it again, through their eyes. I remember the first time I slipped past a guard on the rooftops of Paris, and the thrill I got after sneaking into Dimitri's nightclub to plant a microphone, unseen. Moments like these stuck with me, because I felt part of this clever little world. Now, seeing my stepsons react to similar moments, it's like reliving them for the first time, all over again.
Oh my god! Wow!
I didn't expect it to land though. At least not this good. Kids today have endless options. Games that look like movies, constant updates and non-stop stimulation. I thought they'd try it and move on rather quickly, if anything at all. But when I handed them the controller, something happened. The more I watched them play, the more I realized this video isn't really about some stale Sly Cooper review, focusing on pros and cons or whatever. It's about what happens when the things that shape us find their way into new hands. And that's when things stopped being about memories and started being about the present. They were hooked immediately. Their first rooftop chase and pickpocket session with Sly Cooper himself made their eyes widen up. They found many of the guards a little scary, but overall interesting to mess around with. As soon as they saw Bentley's gadgets, they were fascinated, to say it mildly. The bombs, the rocket chair, even the crossbow that shoots sleeping darts. Both of the boys practically argued about who would play as him first. Even Murray's big old belly dash and his drowning animation they found hilarious. They also call him Pumbaa for some reason, and they adore him. They almost laughed until they fell off the chair after doing it for the 10th time. I caught myself just watching them, realizing that a piece of my childhood was alive again, only in their hands, in their reactions. It wasn't as much nostalgia, I would say. It was a different type of connection that I haven't felt before. Seeing them enjoy the game on their own terms made me understand why this series mattered in the first place. And that's when it hit me. Sly Cooper isn't just about fun or clever mechanics. It's about legacy. If you think about it, the Cooper clan passes down their history through the Thievius Raccoonus. And here I am, watching my stepsons become part of that same story. Sounds weird, I know, but hey, it did feel like passing it forward though, in the same way, without even realizing it at first. I'll never forget the first time I used Bentley's grapple cam myself, or pulled off a perfect Murray belly dash. Those moments weren't only fun, they were also really good lessons in patience and timing. But while I was watching that happen, I couldn't help but think about Waagan, because I know this series didn't just shape me.
When Shady pitched this video idea to me, he already knew what my answer was going to be. For me, it is so incredible to think and believe after so many years that I still love and feel so connected to the series of Sly Cooper to this day. And I literally based my online presence on him with the magic and help of WeirdShady. And as you can see behind me, here, I have a picture of Sly Cooper right here from Display, right up here, Sly Cooper OG games. I even have a tattoo right here. Yeah, you can see it with the Sly Cooper emblem there. And in general, I have a very bad memory of the past, sadly. But there are a few moments that I recall well, and most of them is, in fact, me playing Sly Cooper. It all started with my dad introducing me to the very first Sly Cooper game on the PS2. I remember vividly that we played that a lot together. And he also recalls that today as well, and tells me that after some time, he got very frustrated with me, because I just kept getting better and better at the game than him. And the Cooper gang captured my heart properly with Sly 2 Band of Thieves. That's where all the magic started. And I don't know how old I was when I started playing that game, but I know I was old enough to understand what I was doing, that's for sure. And already from the prelude mission, I was hooked. I was so hooked that I felt like I just committed a crime when breaking into that goddamn museum, you know? Oh, it's such a nostalgic trip when playing the museum prelude mission there. And there's just something about the way they storytell and the way it makes you feel like you are right there with the characters in real time when you're playing the games. And when entering the first episode of the game, being in Paris, we get introduced to my all-time favorite character, Dimitri Lestow. Oh god, how I wish I had his magnificent groovy vibes and charisma. But wait, in fact, I actually do. I genuinely think that where I made the strongest bond with the series is with pretty much everything. The music, the atmosphere, the teamwork, the missions, like everything just made so much sense for each other and was perfect if you ask me. And Dimitri's song called Greasy Sweet is still one of my best songs I want to listen to. It is just amazing to think that I get so gassed up by that song, it's crazy. With many games, you have this one perfect mission, it's like a one-hit wonder, but it just falls off. No, not in this case. It just keeps stepping up and showing up every goddamn episode. The only difference with the different episode is that it's just a different villain, and it's a different place. But it's still, everything was nailed to the last nail. Yeah, that makes sense. I remember I was creeped the fuck out when playing in the episodes where we meet Contessa the Spider and are playing as Bentley, and he is totally carrying the whole team on his back, and his mission is to break out Sly and Murray, ironically enough, out of prison. And yes, he is a fucking IQ brain master and is the brains of the whole gang, but he is not the field man nor the muscle man. And another moment I remember too is that I felt so OP when fighting Ryan as Murray, because Murray is the muscle, he takes a hit and he gives a fucking hit as well. And you cannot play Murray so often during a boss battle, most of the time it's Sly Cooper, you know? That's what I kind of love with the character build and the scenario and the atmosphere and everything, is that the characters made sense for their situations, and you you as the player understands that and you are able to live through it. I feel like I base a lot of my personality and values in life from this series, like them taking care of each other, watching out for one another, fighting together for the right cause, and so on. Today I still have a very small friend circle, 4 or 5 friends that I consider good friends, This is what I do for them as they do in Cooper Gang, It's like my own version of the Cooper Gang, and I wouldn't want it any other way. We have each other back, we help each other out, and I've known for a long time that Sly Cooper will always be with me. I also made a promise to myself that I would give my son the same experience that I got with my own dad when playing Sly Cooper. And right now he's not old enough to play any games, but I have all the games and consoles ready for when the time comes. And I've taken care of my own PS2 since I was a boy, and he's gonna experience the same way I did with the OG console, and I cannot wait until we start playing together. I do want to give my son that proper authentic feeling, but I cannot push it on him or try to replicate it, of course. It has to go its own way to be special for him to remember it. Hopefully he will experience the groove vibes of Paris and dance while beating Dimitri Lostova. Or shit his pants out of fear when conquering Prague against Contessa, and to actually feel like a true champion bonded by history and friendship when you finally take down your arch nemesis Clockwork. Just even, maybe shed a tear when Bentley gets disabled at the end. If you know, you know.
Lions have 600 pounds of bite pressure.
Listening to Waagan talk about his memories made me look at the games a little differently too. Because while watching my stepsons, I kept thinking about the designs of the games themselves. It's subtle, but every mission, every character, every joke is built to feel timeless, in my opinion. The stealth is simple but satisfying. The story isn't overbearing and is relatively free-spirited. And the humor?
Your mother was a broken down tub of junk with more gentleman callers than the operator.
Nobody talks that way about my mother. Nobody!
And as I was watching my stepsons figure things out, laughing, testing things out, and celebrating tiny victories, I realized that's exactly why the games have lasted so well. They're not just fun, they teach patience, creativity, and teamwork in such an engaging way. Now they're teaching it to another generation of gamers. This whole thing made me think about Waagan too, because I know how much he loves the Sly games. And I know he can't wait for the day he shares them with his own son, obviously. Like he mentioned earlier in the video, Waagan has pretty much based his online persona on Sly Cooper and the thievery world. In a way, what I'm seeing now with my stepsons is a glimpse of what he is really hoping to experience himself. There are moments I'll never forget. The oldest of the boys paused the game after completing a mission, then turned to me and said,
"Did you see what I just did? The water pump exploded. This is so fun."
The youngest was jumping on boats and such, and just unapologetically had the best time of his life. And I just laughed with him. Just those simple moments carried everything for me. The nostalgia, the joy, the sense that the story continues beyond little old me. It wasn't dramatic or anything really, but it meant the world to an old gamer and his sensitive heart. Sly Cooper was no longer just a part of my childhood, it is now part of theirs. And that's what made me think about the future. Not just mine, but Waagan's future too.
I like to imagine my son will enjoy the game in his own way just as much as I did, and still do, absolutely. But more than anything, I hope he sees what these games are worth beyond the colorful pixels on the screen. I hope he learns what real friendship looks like, what it means to help each other out when things get difficult and whatnot. And honestly, that's something that worries me a bit as a parent today, because I have to really take in the fact that I am a parent. A lot of modern games still built to keep you hooked rather than to leave you with something meaningful. Everything moves fast, everything demands attention, and it's so easy for the joy to turn into pressure, especially with the ranked and competitive part of all this stuff too, you know? And what I miss and what Sly Cooper still represent for me is that slower kind of joy. Taking your time, learning patterns, failing, trying again, and finally figuring things out on your own. Not because a system told you to, but because you wanted to. Because in Sly Cooper, there's no like such thing as a hint. And I remember like one of the best feelings I could feel is like that feeling of going to school next day. So excited telling your friends that you were able to finally beat that level that you guys have been talking about for a week straight, you know? And that's the standard Sly Cooper set for me early on. And that's the kind of experience I want to pass on to my son as well, in whatever way he discovers it himself. But hearing myself talk about this made me realize something, that Shady is already ahead of me in the future here. He's already living what we are talking about right here now. Isn't that right, Shady?
Yeah, that's true. And it sort of just clicked for me. Watching my stepsons play, laughing at the guards that looked silly, or getting creative with Bentley's grapple gun and zapping enemies all over the map, while Bentley called them mean things through his microphone. It was small, yet incredibly messy. Just as it was when I was a small child.
Yo, ugly! Hey, you! Unattractive person! You're a bad person! I need it! You! With the low self-esteem!
It was perfect! It made me appreciate the legacy of these games, and of the Cooper clan in a new way. Family passing knowledge forward, generation to generation. It's strange how something so small can carry so much weight. I think this is what legacy looks like.
Hey, speaking of legacy, yeah? The legacy of Sly Cooper will always live on, one way or another. We are living proof of it, especially. It's stuck with me for 25 years, and now, hopefully, it will do for the next 25 as well, including my own son. As Shady said, maybe developers at Sucker Punch actually intended for this series to last for generation to generation. Most likely not, but it would be fun too. Kind of things like that. Especially like the way they displayed when Sly Cooper finally reached the Cooper Vault. I really remember it so good when I finally entered the damn Cooper Vault for the first time. They never stopped yapping about the Cooper Vault in the game, and you're like, this Cooper fucking Vault sounds fucking amazing, like fucking let me have it at it, you know? And I just sat in front of the TV and I was amazed by the entire lineage, family, and what legacy it left behind for Sly. Like literally, I was just like, oh my god! And I was emotional even, you know, like holy shit. And I just personally wish I could have something remotely close to that. But I absolutely have that of my own, because I have these games and everything that this series has taught me. Now I feel like I am placed in the shoes of Connor Cooper, Sly's father, about to hand over my skills and all that greasy sweet shit to my own son. And one day letting him carry my family's legacy forward if he chooses to. Yeah, that's what Sly Cooper gave me.
And that's why we wanted to make this video. You could say that we're two fans, two parents, that's sharing one legacy. And one sneaky raccoon somehow made all of this possible. What makes the games great, in a sense, is that they were never about the heists. They were about the people pulling them off. Every character had a role, a voice, and a proper reason to be there. The missions weren't just challenges. They felt like small and intimate moments inside a larger story, told with confidence and restraint. I feel like it's obvious that Sly Cooper trusted its players. Even Waagan mentioned this earlier. It didn't overload you with systems or explanations. It let its style, its music, and its character do the talking. And that's why it still works today. Whether you're playing it for the first time or coming back years later. It feels welcoming, familiar, but never stale. So that's why we made this video. Not just to talk about games we love, because anyone can make a video about a general summary of the story, or take a more analytical route through the games. Instead, Waagan and I opted to share the joy of watching the games live on, through the experiences of the new generation. Whether it's my stepsons today, or Waagan's son someday. Sly Cooper proves that some stories are bigger than any single player. And when those stories are passed down, that's when the magic really lasts.
Constable Neela, you look lovely this evening.
I'm sorry. Do I know you?
I used to chase after you back in Paris.
Paris? Sly Cooper?
And maybe I will finally get frustrated because he gets better at the game than me. Most likely not, because I'm training every day to beat his ass relentlessly for years to come. But maybe. And maybe I will introduce Sly 2 as a surprise to him and turn it into a late night gaming session. Or maybe I will just sit down, play it, mind my own business, he gets curious, and he watch me play and maybe ask, like the son to Shady did, now that can they try too? And he will try, and I'm absolutely jump in. I don't know, but I will make sure that Sly Cooper gets the spotlight to do the show for sure. And if little Waagan Cooper Jr. is open to it, he will enjoy it as much as I did when I was a kid myself.
This series is bigger than the two of us. Bigger than two fans who grew up with the same games and learned from it like life depended on it. It's also way more than a shared bond between two parents who see them differently today.
Dylan! You son of a bitch!
After writing the script with Waagan and sharing these moments with my stepsons, I think that Waagan and I realized something. This legacy mirrors our own lives more than we expected it to do. Sly Cooper taught us about heritage without preaching, about friendship without speeches, and about passing on knowledge without ever naming it. And now we carry that forward into new hands, new hearts, and a new generation.
Not because we want to cling to the past, but because some stories deserve to keep going.
And sometimes the best way to honor them is to pass them on. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Stay cool-blooded.
Stay cool-blooded and fare thee well for now.
And fare thee well for now. So yeah, cheers for that. Have fun. We talk later. And Happy New Year, by the way. Huh?